Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles of the millstone, and enough respect to the brothers out there pushing and spreading the gospel of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, to the four corners of the world. Now through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, I just wanted to do a quick lesson on a few articles, and Lord willing, this be edifying. So the book of Matthew chapter 24 verse 4 says, And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many, or I am anointed. And ye shall hear of wars, rumors of wars, and see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. All right. And one of the major signs is that we will be seeing wars and rumors of wars and the rumors of wars, right? For nations shall rise against nations, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famine and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. That war is inevitable, right? But we're also going to have to live through a period where, wars are indeed fought, and we're going to hear rumors of wars, but that is not that ultimate time frame where Yahushua appears on the scene. And the reason I think this last part is important, the end is not yet, is because there seems to be they are kind of muddy in the waters when it comes to whether or not they would attack Iran. So one article from the Insider paper says Russia, China unlikely to back Iran against U.S. military threats. These nations, especially Russia, is not in a situation where they can be engaged in two wars at the same time, and China likewise. And on the flip side, you have J.D. Vance, right, Vice President, where I try to find the Washington Post actually said that he was worried that if America was to go in and fight against Iran, it will start a war which will then, suck the United States into another, decades-long war, which is something that he would avoid, right? He would like to avoid. And so, but because the Washington Post wanted me to kind of, subscribe and sign up and do all this stuff before I read it, I didn't do it. Okay. Let me see. Right. So statements like we are not at war with Iran, but we are at war with Iran's nuclear program. Let me see. Right. It says, I certainly, empathize with Americans who are exhausted after 25 years of foreign entanglement in the Middle East, he told Weller on Sunday. I understand the concern, but the difference is that back then we had dumb presidents, and now we have a president who actually I can't even finish the sentence. Now we have a president who actually knows how to accomplish America's national security objective. And so, they do want to go into Iran, but they ain't trying to get sucked up into another, foreign entanglement that lasts for decades. So you have Iran's allies not being ready to follow them. America having a hard time achieving an objective that won't result in another, decade-long war. You have Netanyahu. Okay, I'm trying to find this article, but I can't. Who is it? to find the link. It says, on the verge of strikes in Iran, the United States held off. What happens next is up to Trump. And the reason this hasn't happened is because, that ultimate battle, that destruction or the end of it by way of the thermonuclear missiles, also has to be punishment for those who take the MOTB, pursuant to the book of Revelations, the 13th chapter. And, we speculate that the elect are already sealed. And then you have some people, who also speculate that the elect are not sealed, right? There must need for us to keep preaching until the elect are fully sealed. And also, when you have the Lord presenting opportunities for war, but then also holding it back, it is a perspective that I personally like to take. And that perspective is that this is the Lord showing us, mercy, or that the Lord, is looking at the church and saying, whoa, the church may not be ready for this right now, and so I would much rather they keep on building their faith and growing. And this is, from how I perceive it, the Lord showing us mercy and giving us time to prepare ourselves and arm ourselves, right, through the Spirit, and be fully, boxing in that hedge that is being created around us. And so, on the subject of the MOTB, the beast, right, which represents Esau, NATO, and EU, it says that Esau will create an image. And it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. And that mark is what we commonly, or is what's commonly referred to as the radio frequency identity chip. What am I doing? This is it, right? That mark. And yep. And when you go into it, this is a perfect image. I don't even have to move around very often. And so when you go into it, the word mark, it means, a stamp imprinted mark, a scratch or an etching, right? Because that's what charagma is. Whenever the word charagma is used, it's always used in the sense of, chipping things off or creating, a writing, or even if you're making a graven image, it requires a chisel, right? A sharp point, and then you hit on it and you create that graven image or mark. And that is the sense of the word charagma. That's what it means. So it's an actual physical mark, right? That's why when you even go to the root word of the word charagma, you come across the word charax, which means to sharpen to a point, right? And then when you go into that word charax, the root word is grapho, which is an information, right? And so, like the image, you have a mark that is created by a sharp point, and it leaves behind an information, right? That has all your information on it. Okay, your medical information, your bank information, your identification, okay? Any document that legitimizes you in the eyes of the government will be in this. It'll be an information. And so you see how that word, in any sense, it's shown only here. It's not your bank card, because your bank card is not etched into your arm, right? It may hold information, but the delivery method is different. It's not a cell phone because it's different. It's not a pacemaker because a pacemaker does not allow you to buy or sell. Not everyone has that. It serves a different purpose. And so, these Christians always trying to find a slick way to disassociate this word with a physical piece of technology that is imprinted in your hand by way of a needle. That attempt is what is just an attempt to deceive you, to get you off your guard. This is piece of technology is part of perfecting their new world order, and that no man may buy or sell save he that hath the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. That no man may buy or sell doesn't necessarily mean, it does literally mean buy and sell, but when you read the book of Ezekiel, the 28th chapter, if I'm not mistaken, it says, by thy great wisdom and by thy traffic thou hast increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. This talks about Esau, even though it used the word Tyre and Zidon. I did a breakdown in the book of Ezekiel, the 28th chapter. Brothers can go check it out, and you see why it's talking about Esau. But it says that he established himself by wisdom and by traffic. And when you go to the word traffic, it simply means business, merchandise. So you will not be able to live in his kingdom or partake in his kingdom. It's not just that you can't go to the grocery store, but you can't have a house. How are you going to pay a mortgage? Right? How are you going to go to the hospital? How will you eat? Everything in this man's system is based on money. And so, this is just one major prophecy that I wanted to emphasize, that because it has not come to pass, when you hear of wars or rumors of wars, especially wars or rumors of wars that lead to World War III, understand that the end is not yet, because certain things must come to pass. And that is pretty much the whole point of this video. And so, in closing, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakha Kodash, Shalom Yahweh, Bahashem Yahshai, Barakatham to all your Akims and Akwafs that are listening in truth and sincerity. May the blessing of blessing be upon the house. And until next time, Shalom.